Welcome back to First Things First. Let's welcome in Joel Klatt for the latest on the college football playoff. Joel, welcome. Hope everything is well and happy holidays. I want to start off.
Everything's great. The internet loves me.
That's true,
Joel. Don't read mentions, man. Be out here, give takes.
Nick,
let people take them the wrong way. Who cares? You're Joel freaking Klatt.
You know me well enough to know, I really don't care. And my point stands. I might have been sloppy in my point. The NCAA tournament's not a joke, and it's not stupid, and it's not dumb. But it's not a tournament that is set up to identify the best overall team of the year. Boom. Like that point stands. If the objective is to have like an entertaining, made-for-TV event, it's incredible. And the approval rating is off the charts. And I even love it. But if the point or objective is to identify the best team, well, it's not set up to do that. That's obvious.
On that note, can I ask him a question about the college playoff before we move into Michigan? Just real quick. In that vein, what is the purpose of the tournament? I would argue the purpose of expanding the college football playoff field from 4 to 12 was for a year just like this year, where there is one team in Indiana that under any system would be in there, and then 6 teams that all have one loss and have an argument we should be in the mix to be able to play for it. That the purpose of this playoff is to make sure that a team like A&M or a team like Oregon or Ole Miss can prove it, and it is not to make sure Miami or Notre Dame get in. And so therefore, if you're not in the clear-cut top 6 or 7, you don't get to complain. The tournament wasn't made for you. You're just lucky that maybe you could get one of the extra spots. Do you think that's fair?
I don't disagree with that. I think that's fair. And listen, Notre Dame does not really have a leg to stand on. It's like they were being pitted against a team that beat them. Every tiebreak in the history of sports on the planet, the first tiebreaker is what? Head-to-head, right? Yeah. So it's like, that's the way it is. And then people started yelling about Alabama. And I don't really care about the back end. I think that you're right. This would have been a mess. It's like, well, who goes and plays Indiana in the old, playoff? Is it Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Ole Miss, and we leave Texas A&M out? So I think the intent of the college football playoff expanding to 12 was for a year like this. And I think we're going to have a better playoff because of it. I really believe that we could have an incredible playoff outside of the 2 games. I don't think Tulane's going to be all that competitive with Ole Miss. I don't think JMU is going to be all that competitive with Oregon. Outside of that, I think it's going to be a pretty remarkable playoff.
Can we stay with the playoff, this Alabama, Oklahoma? I've heard Kalen DeBoer might be coaching for his job. And do you buy that? And if he is, what's the domino effect that some theories have him ending up in Michigan?
Well, I don't think it's that he's coaching for his job. I think it's that Michigan would clearly target him. And if they were to lose on Friday, it would make it at least tenable from a structure standpoint before the transfer portal opens up January 2nd to potentially go after him. I think that he is on a very short list for Michigan. I think a guy like Jeff Brom at Louisville is on a very short list for Michigan right now. But they would only go after and try to achieve Kalen DeBoer as their head coach if they were to lose on Friday night. Because if he's coaching all the way until the 1st and the transfer portal opens up on January 2nd, then that's not a very advantageous position for Michigan to be in. So I think that they would pivot because of that. So that's why the result on Friday night as Alabama plays Oklahoma in Norman, I think is going to be important on a lot of different fronts, and not just who wins and moves on in the playoff, but also if Alabama were to lose, I think there would be a strong push from Michigan to try to hire him in Ann Arbor.
Do you think DeBoer should consider Ann Arbor under that scenario?
I mean, that's up to him. I think that it's really tough to coach at Alabama following Nick Saban, and I think he's found that out. I think that you've got to have the right fit. We talk about fit for quarterbacks in the NFL all the time. I think that the same conversation can take place in the college game surrounding your coach. Is your coach a good fit for your program and the fan base and everything that goes on with your program? I don't think it's a bad fit at Alabama because Kalen is a terrific head football coach. I think that the verdict is out. of whether it's a good fit, because that fan base is very accustomed to winning at the highest level. And let's face it, in the last 2 years with him, they haven't done that. And in particular, the performance against Georgia in the SEC championship game, I think was problematic. The loss against Florida State to open the year, problematic. So their fan base can be edgy at times. And I would be interested to see if Kalen would at least look at a place like Michigan. Remember, he's from South Dakota, so he's from that region, if you will, and he's not really an SEC guy. And those fans down there, they like their people to be SEC people.
Wow. You think the internet was mad at you before? Wait until the Michiganders hear that you think Michigan and South Dakota are the same part of the country. I mean,
region. North. In college football, here's the thing, Nick. In college football, there's basically 2 regions in college football, maybe 3.
Yeah.
There's like west of the Rockies, that's 1.
Yeah.
And then there's north of the Mason-Dixon, south of the Mason-Dixon.
Okay.
And that's it. That's college football, right? So that's where I'm going with that.
All right. So listen, you made it, and you've made it clear, understandably, you don't have a ton of faith in 17-point underdog Tulane or 21-point underdog James Madison. So that removes 2 of the possible upsets from the weekend. The other 2 games, though, I mean, Oklahoma. A 1.5 favorite at home, which means
and that's shifted. Bama was originally favored,
right.
1.5, so that's gone the other way.
And also that also means Vegas thinks Bama's on a neutral site the better team, and then Texas A&M 3.5-point favorite at home, so they think that game on a neutral site's close to a coin flip. Which of those 2 games do you think is most likely to result in an upset? And really, would you consider either one of those road teams winning an actual upset?
I think Miami winning on the road would be an upset. I think that even though that's a pretty evenly matched game, but the one that I would expect more, even though, listen, truth be told, I picked Oklahoma in this game against Alabama on Friday night. I think that the environment at home, in particular for a fan base that has been frothing for this stage since Lincoln Riley left and went to USC, that fan base believes that they belong on this stage. And I think that environment's going to be incredible. And that's very difficult to face as a road team, in particular, a team that has to throw the football, and you're facing a pass rush which has 41 sacks, which leads college football. So Oklahoma can get after the passer. The problem with the OU team is that they just don't score the football. Like, their offense is not very good. They're worse than the Eagles. You know what I mean? Offensively. And they've got to build themselves into points, short fields, turnovers, special teams. It's a version of Iowa. Oklahoma plays a version of the way that Iowa plays right now. And I think that's where this line is so close. That's why Vegas has Bama, on a neutral, maybe even favored, even though Oklahoma has beaten Alabama twice in the last, 14 months. So it should be an interesting game and a heck of a matchup. But I would just key in on that crowd noise and pass rush for Oklahoma, because what we've seen from Bama is they can lose their minds a little bit in terms of protection. They did it against Florida State. They did it against Georgia. Georgia blitzed over 50% of the time in the SEC championship game. Well, guess what Brent Venables does? He's top 5 in the country bringing pressure, and I think that he's going to try to light up Ty Simpson with a lot of pressure on Friday.
All right, Joel, 2-part question based on the Heisman Trophy. We saw Indiana's Fernando Mendoza won it. Should he be the first quarterback taken in the draft? And we saw Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, who didn't win it. He spewed some vulgarities at the voters. Do you think that'll hurt his draft stock?
Maybe help. I like that.
I
like that tenacity.
Wiles? You like that tenacity, Wiles?
A little bit.
Yeah, you do? Oh, wow. Do your Pats need a little tenacity
we're
after
good.
giving up
That's
the 21-point lead?
I didn't know if we put it up there. It's a family for life. I like that part.
I do. I love the family for life. Maybe, yeah. The owners are going to be like, all right, this guy's a loyal guy. I don't know if that's going to hurt. Listen, let's face facts. Shedeur Sanders would have been drafted much higher last year if it weren't for off-field concerns, attitude concerns. Wouldn't you guys all agree with that?
Yeah, it seems like that's the reporting on it, yeah.
Okay. So this isn't going to help. Now, whether it hurts or not, I don't know. But this certainly isn't going to help. his transition into the National Football League.
Sure makes him seem like a Raider to me. I feel like maybe.
They need all the help they can get on their offense. Oh, my gosh. But the voters got it right. Fernando Mendoza beat every team he played and played his best football in the fourth quarter against the best opponents that he faced. You know, remember, guys, he was tied with Iowa late, drove him down, scored a touchdown. He's tied with Oregon on the road in Autzen, drives him down, gets a late touchdown. He's behind, has to score a touchdown, sacked, 2nd and 18, drives the length of the field, no timeouts against Penn State. Gus and I lose our minds when Omar Cooper touches his foot down in the back of the end zone. Then against Ohio State, which is what I think clearly the best defense in college football, with 4 first-round draft picks right down the middle of that defense, he puts on a show in the fourth quarter, throws a touchdown pass, 3rd down, he converts. He plays great when greatness is needed. Therefore, absolutely, he should have won the Heisman Trophy. And yes, he will be the first quarterback taken. I don't think that there's much of a doubt. I think the more interesting part of this draft from a quarterback perspective is all the guys that look like they're going to come back to college. Guys, they can make between $3 and $4 million coming back to school. These guys that are proven commodities in college football. Well, if you get drafted late in the first round, or maybe even more specifically early in the second round, you might make a little bit more next year, but the overall life of that contract is it's not more than you're making your last year of college football. Meanwhile, if you stay in college, you can develop more, get more starts under your belt, and potentially get into the top 15 of the first round. And that's where that contract not only comes with more value, but it also comes with more investment from the franchise, and they're going to want you to succeed. Because what's the ultimate goal here? Is it to make the most money next year, or is it to make the most money in your second contract in the NFL in a good situation? I would argue it's the latter.
You know, for a guy who hates one shining moment in March, an excellent interview.
Wilds, you've come around on Josh Allen?
You know what? Turns out, good football player. Kid out of Wyoming, he can play. He can throw the thing. Joel, thank you very much.
I just wanted one more thing, just really quickly. In the AFC, do we really think that anyone other than Josh Allen's going to the Super Bowl?
Wilds does. He doesn't think they're very good. Great job, Joel.
They're very good.
Wilds, but he's down on the field.
They can't stop the run, Joel.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.